Hello everyone. I have tried filming this on Saturday, Sunday, Monday and now again on Tuesday, so let's see how it works out this time. I should start off by mentioning that on both of these record store days I also bought non-RSD related albums, but I won't be showing those this time. So going into drop 1, I had 4 items on my list that I knew that I would buy if I would find them, but I didn't feel that anything was really essential. I would buy them if I would find them, but if not, then so be it. Unfortunately, I don't have the list anymore, so I don't really remember which ones were on my maybe list, with the exception of 2, which I was able to cross off from the list prior to RSD, because I found out that the Status Quo and Jefferson Airplane were both compilations, so I wouldn't be needing those. So because there was nothing really essential, I decided to go to the stores a little after 10. There were 3 stores that I was going into. 2 of them opened up at 8 and 1 of them opened up at 10. So I decided to start at one of the stores that opened up at 8, and I would go there a little after 10, so by that time the crowd would have cleared, and by the time I would move out from there to the store that opened up at 10, the crowd should have cleared out from there as well. So going into the store, I immediately saw one that was sharing my top spot, and that was Rolling Stones, Rainfall Down, Rough Justice 10-inch picture disc. So yeah, I was very happy to find this one. And because I found that one so easily, I assumed that I would find the other item sharing my top spot, but turned out that they had only a few 7 inches, and by that time they had already gone. So I went, that sort of put me off the mood for a little, and I went through secondhand records, found a couple of albums, and that brought my spirit back. And I went back checking into record store releases, and I bought the only album on my list of 4, and that was Def Leppard, When Walls Come Tumbling Down live double album. And I already had this one on CD, so yeah, I knew that it was great, but if I wouldn't have found it, then I wouldn't have worried about it too much. But I needn't have worried about that, because actually I just checked yesterday and it's still available here. Okay, after that I went to the second store and I found the item that was sharing my top spot, which was Keith Richards' Wicked As It Seems and Gimme Shelter, and both were live versions, which was a surprise to me. I was expecting Wicked As It Seems to be studio versions, and this one is on red vinyl, as you can see. Yeah, that was great release. After that, I did find the 4th item on my list, which was on the first shop also, but again I decided to leave it behind and wait until I went to the 3rd store. But at the second store I also bought the records that I had pre-ordered, which were waiting for me there. So going into 3rd store, I found one that I had read about it prior to RSD, that it was going to be issued, but I have forgotten to write it down on my list, so it came as a small surprise. This is Juice Leskinen Grand Slam Halitaan Pervers Runoilija. And this is rarity in Finland, at least to my knowledge. This is only the second one of this kind. And that is that these were recordings that were left unreleased at the time. In this case, the A-side is from 1985, but now has been issued on single. There has been that kind of the recordings left at the time unreleased, and now have been released on record, but not on single. This one is unusual in that it was. I read that this was unfinished recording. And that they had invited a couple of these original musicians into the studio to do a couple of overdubs so that they could finish up this recording. But this, looking at these sleeve notes, this only mentions this having been mixed now, so I may be wrong about that. B-side is also a rarity in that it was a re-recorded version to be used in a movie in 1982. The original version is from 1974. At least I don't know any other movie soundtracks prior to 90s except one, Saimaa-ilmiö, which was released in 1981. Other than that, I don't have knowledge of any movie soundtracks being released in Finland. So yeah, this sleeve is also slightly unusual in that the sleeve refers to both A and B sides. Halitaan means let's hug, and as you can see, they are hugging here. And these characters here were used on the sleeve of Pervers runoilija, the original album from 1974. So in that sense, it refers to both sides. Okay, then I found the item number 4 on my list, but because I didn't buy this from first or the second store, I was by now wondering that do I really need this, but I decided to buy it because it was on my list, and I do love this band. AC/DC, 12-inch picture disc of Through the Mists of Time and Witch's Spell. So yeah, I got all 4 items on my list. Now there was still one item that I was considering, and that was the Tom Petty album. But I read the hype sticker on the sleeve, and it said that those were remixed and re-edited versions. So yeah, that didn't really appeal to me. So I decided that I would rather buy something new, and that was Joey Ramone, Don't Worry About Me. When this was originally released, I only heard the cover version of What a Wonderful World, and I didn't like it, so I didn't come to buy this at that time. But now during the last couple of years, I have started to listen to Ramones quite a bit. I have bought several of their albums, so this came on a perfect time, and I decided to buy this one. And it comes with a printed inner sleeve also. Okay, at this point I decided that, okay, I think I have bought enough, but I went through second-hand records and I found one other record, and again I was considering between buying that one or Tom Petty, and again I decided to buy this second-hand record, and on top of those I found a couple of singles. But that was it for drop 1, with one exception, which I will come back to later on. Going into drop 2, I had 6 items on my list that I knew that I wanted, and 7 other items that I was considering. So going into the store, I immediately head out into the singles section, and I found the 2 singles that I was looking for. The first one is Padding Rockers, Maitolaiturilla, Kaipaan sinua. And Padding Rockers was a band that was active during the late 80s, early 90s. And their 3 albums were reissued early last year. So I thought that this was just a continuation of the theme that they are now reissuing their old singles. But looking at this, I noticed that there's only the year 2021 mentioned here, and I didn't find these songs on any of their albums. So I presume that these are new recordings because they were meant to do some reunion gigs promoting these albums late in the year. But as you can see, I have a ticket here, but these gigs got cancelled. So I'm presuming that they recorded a couple of new songs instead. The second single was Hoedown, Desperate Man, on the same side. Hoedown is a band that plays sort of roots American rock type of music, but I'm not aware of any of their own recording. I have one album which they are backing another vocalist, and I know that in that sense that they have been active. They have played a lot of gigs where they play like a first set they play on their own, and then they play a second set backing some guest vocalist. So this is the only recording that they have done on their own that I am aware of. I don't know, there may be other recordings. But anyway, I prefer the B-side on the same side. Okay, next one was one that when I originally saw the first draft of Record Store Day releases, it was #1 on my list, but then I read about it and it dropped into maybe category. Now when I found this, I knew that I would be regretting it if I wouldn't buy this and at least give this one a chance. This is The Windows of the World, Bobby Gentry. Now, before Record Store Day, I read about this, that this was like a failed attempt at jazz. Now, I'm not a bigger jazz fan, and I'm even less of a late 60s jazz. So, yeah, I was thinking that I'm not going to buy that one. But I decided that, yeah, I have to give this one a chance. And I did like this. There was a small mistake on the information that I read. It said that these were recordings done prior to her first album, but instead these are recordings done after her third album. But yeah, obviously not among my favorites from Bobby Gentry, but yeah, I'm glad that I bought it. Next, I found the #2 on my list because I knew that this first shop wouldn't have my #1 on my #1 item, but I did find my #2 item, and that is the Cure Wild Mood Swings double LP picture disc, done the same way as Blood Flowers was done a year ago. I know that many people don't consider this highly, and it's not among my top favorites, but I've always liked this. There are few Cure albums that I like less than this one. Yeah, I think it's a good one. Next one was also one that I knew that I wanted, but when I first saw this mentioned on the list, I was quite confused. This is Rory Gallagher, Cleveland Calling Part 2, because when I first saw this one mentioned on the list, I didn't notice this Part 2, so I was wondering why are they reissuing the Cleveland Calling album so soon. But yeah, this is Part 2, like the hype sticker says, Lost 1972 Electric Live Radio Session. So the Part 1 was Rory being interviewed, and between those interviews he played solo acoustic songs. But this one includes the full band, but this isn't full live, full electric session, because Pistol Slapper Blues is Rory with acoustic, and Bangles Blues is Rory with acoustic and Lou Martin on piano. But great live recording, as you would expect from Rory. And the 6th item that I found there was Ramones. Triple J Live at the Wireless, Capitol Theatre, Sydney, Australia, July 8, 1980. This one I haven't listened to, but I'm pretty sure that it sounds like a Ramones live album. Okay, then I went to the second store, and hold on, was it that one? Yeah, I went to the second store and I found my #1 item, but it was a single album and it cost 52 euros, and I was like, there's no way that I'm going to pay that much, even if it is my #1 item. For about 3 seconds I thought of using a discount on it, but then I realized that I would be spending the whole discount just to get it down to the normal Record Store Day price, not even normal price, but down to the Record Store Day price. So I was like, yeah, no way. But I did find one that I had been considering, which was on my maybe list, and that is Black Sabbath, Master of Reality. Never been among my favorite Black Sabbath albums, which is why I only had this one on CD prior to this. Now the hype sticker says that this is identical to the original 1971 issue, but I really wondered that is it really true, because this packaging is really stupid. I thought that this is a gatefold, but it doesn't. It doesn't open from either side. It opens both from the top and from the bottom, and you probably can't tell, but there's there's like a flap inside here. It's really stupid way. It's difficult to get the record out. It's difficult to put the record back in. Yeah, that was it. I was ready to go to the store number 3, but I did buy the records that I had pre-ordered there, and one of them was a record from Record Store Day 1. Now I saw this one on a list of releases, and I did see this at the store, but I didn't pay any attention to it. I was just that it's just another Iggy live album, and I don't need it. It was maybe a week after this Record Store Day 1 when I saw Omaha Introvert's video, and her boyfriend had bought this, and they mentioned that this is recorded in 1988, and I went to check my CD and I realized that this is the same release, and I wanted it. I went to check the Record Store Day page, Record Store pages, and I found that one store still had 3 copies of this one, but within those few seconds I started considering that, do I need this, because I already have this one on CD. So I decided to let like 2 weeks go by, and if there were still copies available, I would still buy. And after 2 weeks there was still 1 copy available, and I bought this one. Highly recommendable. These are really fast and furious versions of these songs. Yeah, and this one includes 1 song more than the CD version. Okay, and then I went to the 3rd store, and the first thing I found was my number 1 item, and this time for a reasonable price. This is Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young Deja Vu Alternates. The Deja Vu album has alternate versions, except that this isn't like 1 by 1, because there's 1 song here that wasn't on the original album, and it's missing 1 of the songs from the original album. But yeah, I listened to this. Some of the versions are quite significantly different. Yeah, I like this one, although obviously I do prefer the original album. And then I had gone through a couple of boxes, but there was one other guy going through the boxes. So besides those Record Store Day releases, they had a couple of boxes of older Record Store Day releases. So I was just going through those just to spend time waiting for that guy to move along, and I found one item that I didn't even know that this had been issued, and I think this is from 2018, I'm guessing. This is Ramones Sun Dragon Session. These are the rough mixes for Leave Home album, including all 15 tracks. And as you know, the very original pressing included the song Carbona, not Glue, but then it was removed, and in the US it was replaced by Sheena is a Punk Rocker, and in the UK it was replaced by Babysitter. But this one includes both the Carbona, not Glue and Babysitter, but not Sheena is a Punk Rocker. Yeah, after that, the guy who had been watching the records, one of the records that he had in his hands was Johnny Thunders and Heartbreakers Lump, and he put it back, so I had a chance to buy that. But looking at it, I started thinking that I have spent well enough money, so I decided to not buy that, at least not that day. So that was my final purchase, but at the moment I am still considering at least that Lump, John Fogerty EP, Pearl Jam EP, and Lou Reed Set the Twilight Reading, and also Candy Staton album. But it remains to be seen if I will buy any of those. Okay, this again is rather long video, but thanks for watching. Hope you like this. Leave a comment. Bye.